Have you ever looked at one of those big bass pictures and thought in your mind, boy, I wish I could catch one of those? Or maybe you've caught a big bass in your life and you'd like to catch more of them. Well, there are a certain set of factors that, if employed while you're fishing, will dramatically increase your chances of catching a big bass. And we're going to show them to you in the next half hour. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Sports South.
There are a choice few lakes around the United States and even Mexico that hold a lot of really big bass. Lakes like Guntersville in Alabama, Chickamauga in Tennessee, Okeechobee in Florida, Fork, Falcon in Texas, even El Salto over in Mexico. Many bass over 10 pounds caught out of those lakes, and I've been blessed enough in my lifetime to catch my share. I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 pound or more bass in my lifetime, including one big one caught just almost exactly 1 year ago. And it was near here. Welcome in. We're at Lake Murray in southern Oklahoma today. Now, this is not traditionally known as a giant bass lake, although there have been 3 bass over 12 pounds caught out of this lake just this spring. We're going to use Murray as a demonstration stage to show you some of the keys, some of the techniques, factors that you can employ that will increase your chances of catching a big largemouth bass on your next trip out. And while we're doing that, we're going to take you around the region for your local and latest fishing reports for this week. Right now, it all gets started at the FSN Studios with your weekend planner.
The Solunar Tables are offering fantastic news for weekend anglers. Saturday is forecast to have good game fish activity, and Sunday looks to have some of the best action of the month, with peak daylight hours starting in the morning. Expect the sun to rise at 6:28 and set at 8:20. And night skies will be dark with a new moon on Sunday. We're coming right back with all the latest freshwater and coastal fishing information from around the area. Plus, current Bassmaster Classic champion Casey Ashley joins us for this week's Ask the Pro feature. First though, here are some of the entries from our Costa Catch of the Week contest. These pictures did not win, but we thought you might enjoy looking at some of the nice catches. We'll have this week's winner at the end of the show.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate.
Boy, I slammed him. Good one. Good one. All right. Got him. Hey. Oh, and the jig popped right out of his mouth. Oh, that was fortunate. All right. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are talking big fish fishing today. And we're going through all the stuff you need to know to increase your chances of catching a big fish. And I didn't know if we'd catch a good one today or not, but that gets us started right there. That's no giant or anything, but it's certainly a really good quality fish. And that's what we're talking about right there. So let's let this fish go back right here. We'll watch him swim away in this clear water. Good largemouth. When you get ready to go fishing and you really want to catch a big fish, it all begins in your mind. They definitely will bite differently than smaller fish will. So you have to decide to ignore all the places where the small fish live. You have to ignore all the lures and the tackle, the techniques that work on small fish, and you have to concentrate just on trying to catch a big one. Here's the downside to that. You could fish all day and never get a bite. You could fish all day and only get 2 bites. However, the one strike you get could be your personal best bass of a lifetime. So it's very different, and really it all begins with offshore fishing, and I'm going to talk some more about that. That fish came off of a roadbed. It's just a rock structure, a rock roadbed that leads and falls right off into the lake. And this is the exact type of a place that we're going to talk about where you can catch a big bass. But again, you have to decide that you're not going to pay any attention to those guys that are all up next to the shore and they're catching fish and you get all excited and you leave your spot. You've got to decide at the beginning of the day it's worth it even if you don't get a bite all day long. Catching a big one begins in the mind. Let's get you some local fishing reports right now.
Welcome to the Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi Freshwater Fishing Report. This week's update is sponsored by Jimmy Jacobs Outdoor Adventures, your source for guidebooks to fishing and hiking in the Southeast. Visit our website at www.jimmyjacobsoutdoors.com. We're now into mid-May, and this is arguably the best time of the year for bass fishing throughout the South. Largemouth and spots are moving into the shallows for their spawning phase, and it's a good time to catch a real hog or to catch a lot of smaller bass. A great place for this action in Mississippi is Ross Barnett Reservoir on the Pearl River near Jackson. This 33,000 acre lake is big water and gives you lots of options for fishing. The best largemouth action will be on Pelahatchie Bay east of the dam. This shallow pad-filled water is a good place to be throwing buzz baits, suspended jerk baits, or plastic worms. Out on the main body of the lake, try topwater lures early and late in the day around the grass beds. During the midday, move to those shallow points that have structure on them and cast spinner baits or plastic crawfish. In the upper end of the lake, above the State Route 43 bridge, the spotted bass should be active. These fish can be caught on swim baits and crankbaits tossed to the down trees along the old river edge where the current's moving. In Georgia, the spotted bass are moving shallow on Lake Sidney Lanier on the Chattahoochee River just north of Atlanta. But here you don't want to be casting right to the shore. On this 38,000 acre impoundment, those fish are going to be just offshore in 8 to 10 feet of water. Inline spinners and small plastic worms are the baits, and green is always a good color for those plastics. In southeast Alabama, Lake Eufaula is a good bet for some largemouth action right now. These fish are in the post-spawn, and they're going to be moving along the creek channels and ditches from the spawning areas out on the deeper water. But regardless of where you fish, right now is the time to go after some bass in the South.
There's one. Come up, here he comes. Smalley. Smalley. Calm down. All right. Now, I didn't promise you that we were going to catch all big fish or anything like that today. I said that we were going to talk about catching big fish. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Let me get this big square bill crankbait out of this little Smalley's mouth right there. We'll show you all the baits at the end. There's a good fish for you right there. Real bright colored smallmouth. Put that one back. Here's the deal. To increase your odds of catching a big bass, you need to get offshore. Now notice I didn't say deep, I said offshore. Most people think that when you're off the shore, you're gonna have to be fishing in deep water. That's not true. That one was on a little underwater ridge, and that crankbait only runs about maybe 4 or 5 feet deep, something like that, even though you can see I'm nowhere near the shore out here. I want to show you a couple of other fish. Just a year ago, I caught 2 of the biggest bass I've caught in my life, both of them offshore. The first one was a fish that went almost 10 pounds at Lake Fork. I caught it on a big plastic lizard throwing out off the end of a point. In fact, I was kind of up on the point casting out towards open water. And then huge bass up at Arbuckle Lake, just north of here, about a year ago, and I was in the mouth of a cove. It was a little flat, the mouth of a cove. This bass, when I finally got it in the boat, weighed 11 pounds and 3 ounces, and certainly is in the top 5 biggest bass I've ever caught in my life. All of these fish caught offshore, not casting up against the banks. Underwater humps, underwater ridges, underwater points, those are the type spots offshore where you have your best chance of catching a huge bass. And those are some of those big ones that I've been fortunate enough to catch that illustrate the point. Every one of the big fish that I've ever caught has been nowhere near the shoreline key point if you're going to catch your personal best bass. Time now for more fishing reports.
This part of the program is brought to you by Georgia Charter Fishing on St. Simon's Island. If you're looking for a family fishing trip, or you're after a world record redfish, giant tarpon, or big sheepshead, Captain Greg Hildreth will make your fishing trip one to remember.
Well, this week is cobia on the coast. They have lit up all over the southeast, Georgia, Mississippi, and even Alabama. In Mississippi, they are really hanging around the barrier islands. Anglers there chum fishing are getting a lot of fish in that 15 to 35 pound class, but there are some bigger fish too. The good anglers are chumming around the sandbars coming off of some of the barrier islands on the Mississippi coast. They're working at about 15 feet of water, and but they're using small pieces of chum, cut chum, to draw the fish in, but then they're casting live baits to them, or live eels if you can get them. The eels are probably the best bait of all, but they're sometimes difficult to find. Also in Mississippi, check the channel markers and a few oil rigs around. There's cobia around those. And the same thing in Alabama. There are some fish around the oil rigs, and the anglers there cruise the beaches and they look for fish and cast with the spotted fish that they see. In Georgia, the cobia run is wide open also, and the fish tend to be a little bit bigger over there this time of year. They're catching some fish, they're 50 to 60 pounds. It's all up and down the coast. The fish are cruising the beaches, look for turtles and rays. Sometimes those cobia hang with the turtles and rays, and they're catching them on live baits, squid, and again, live eels, if you can get them, is probably the best bait of all. Also in Georgia, they're catching cobia around the reefs in about 70 to about 100 feet of water. The anglers anchor up, they chum a little bit, and try to draw the cobia up that way. Inshore, the trout reds and a few flounders starting to show up. Look for clear water for trout. Redfish tend to be around shell bars and drop-offs. And that's it for the coastal southeast. Get out on the water, and when you go, please take a youngster with you.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Lose, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
Smallmouth. Not a bad fish right there. It's not a giant or anything, but that gives you a look at what a beautiful Lake Murray gold smallmouth looks like. And back he goes. And he gave one more little jump. Hey, let's talk next about the tackle, the gear you're gonna need if you wanna catch a big bass. Specialized tackle. This is really important. You need to have big stuff. You need a big, heavy action rod. Now, this is the brand new loose custom Speed Stick series rods, and they're identifiable by the white toward the bottom half of the rod, but they are a stout rod, and this particular one is the Magnum Bass Rod 1. It's a 7.5 foot. You want a big, long rod. It's a 7.5 foot heavy action rod. Bait cast reel. That's the Lew's BB1 Pro Series reels, and I also use the BB2s as well. But heavy gears, something you can fight a big fish with. Big line, 17 to 20 pound, either Stren Original in the clear color or Stren Fluorocast. One of those two lines, 17 or 20 pound, is what I use every single time. You need to be prepared to catch a big fish with this kind of tackle. Hey, I want to show you one more quick thing. I mentioned that we went over to Arbuckle and did a little fishing just north of here. The fishing was not as good as it was here, but my brother, Terry Stokes, who's an attorney in Oklahoma City, runs camera for us. So normally he's on the other side of the camera, but he hooked a nice fish. He caught it on a big football head jig. Again, big tackle, and congratulations to my brother Terry on a really nice bass. Okay, it's time to get you some more fishing and lake reports from lakes, rivers, and bays right in your backyard.
Hey guys, everybody knows that Stormer is the industry leader in foul weather gear, but what you might not know is they also offer top-of-the-line performance wear. It's moisture-wicking material, it's UV protectant. Go to stormerusa.com and figure out how they can show you how to control the elements. Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. You know, the weather's been beautiful. It's been actually very warm and very stable, and that's the key to this week's fishing report. We haven't had any weather systems move through and it has just allowed the fishing to be very, very good and very consistently stable. Right now, the bluegill shellcracker bite, we've had a full moon about a week ago, and it's been exceptional. Like I told you last week, look for the places you've always caught them, because that's where they're always going to be. If I were going to go bluegill and shellcracker fishing or crappie fishing right now, I would go to Reelfoot Lake in West Tennessee. Really unique place, and those panfish are off the charts there. The bass fishing's been really good. A lot of the fish in this region are on the tail end of the spawn. Still going to be a lot of fish shallow, your fry guarders that are guarding those bedding areas where the fry are. Early and late, a topwater bait and a blade bait's good, especially if you got a little bit of wind. The rest of the day, sit out from where they spawn and fish a plastic bait real slow back to you. Catfish are good, wide open, spawning everywhere. Find you some rocks near some deep water that's got a little bit of current on it. I would also go smallmouth fishing right now. I would go to Dale Hollow and catch the biggest smallmouth of my life. It's really happening there early and late. Yeah, they're catching them on topwater bait really, really well, and catching them on the points from the main lake, the first point in off the main lake. Guys, it's gonna be good. It's gonna continue to be good, and I would encourage you to get here. You're gonna have a great time, catch lots of fish. Love to see you on the water. God bless.
Smallie, I think. Yeah, smallmouth. Nice smallmouth. Yeah, how about that? There's what you can do on Lake Murray. Great population of smallmouth bass here and at Arbuckle both. So there's a good look at one right there. We're gonna let that fish go back. And two other things about fishing for a big fish. First of all, slow down. You've got to really have a methodical, patient presentation, and you need to fish the area that you're fishing very thoroughly. A lot of times a big fish won't bite the first time that lure swims past, but a slow, methodic, patient presentation will trigger a strike many times. And then finally, most big fish are lost at the boat when people are horsing that fish. Take your time, be patient, fight the fish out while you have some line between you and him, while you have some stretch in your rod, stretch in your line, and don't just immediately crank that fish right to the end of your rod tip. He has leverage against you. He'll either break your line, rip the hook out of his mouth. Lots of bad things can happen. Be very patient and keep a net in the boat handy with you as well.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors, introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro feature, where viewers get insider tips from top anglers. This week's question is from Alan, who asks, what is the best way to catch bass after the spawn? For the answer, we checked with 2015 Bassmaster Classic champion, Casey Ashley.
In the first couple of days after fish come off the bed, they're really lethargic. After that, they're ready to eat. I mean, they've been there guarding, they hadn't eaten for a while. So it takes them a while to get over, they've worked hard to do all that. Eventually, they've got to eat. It's just, they're very fickle that time of year, not necessarily on they're just not wanting to bite. They're particular about what they want to bite. So you have to be really key on, matching the hatch or whatever you're throwing. A lot of times you have to be real subtle, use light line, small baits and stuff like that. But it doesn't take them very long to where they're ready to feed again.
Thanks, Casey. If you need help from one of the pros, visit foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now let's see who wins a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
This week's winner in the Costa Catch of the Week contest wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses. He is Josh Houston of Martinez, Georgia, showing a 31-pound striped bass caught at Clarks Hill Reservoir on the Georgia-South Carolina border, the largest of 4 that totaled 104 pounds the same day. If you'd like to be our next winner, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, click on the Costa Catch of the Week area, send us your big fish photo. You might be our next winner. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles by going back to the front page of our website and clicking on the Costa logo. It'll take you to their website where you can see everything all in one place, including the frame style that I was wearing on this week's episode called Rockport. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, you need some specialized fishing lures if you're going to increase your chances of a big largemouth bass. Here are some of my favorites. I've caught big bass on every one of these. Beginning at the top left, that is a lipless rattling crankbait, but it's a big size, 3/4 ounce. Below that is a square bill crankbait, and you can see it's a large size as well. On top in the middle is a 10X crankbait. That's a crankbait that runs up to 20 feet deep. Below that is a swim bait. And again, it's a big one. It's got a 1 ounce lead head inside of it. Then further to the right, that is a Jean LaRue Biffle O lizard, big size, big and bulky. Further to the right, that's a Jean LaRue El Salto Grande 10-inch long plastic worm. And then further to the right is a football jig, a rubber leg jig with a football head. Last spring, my church did a message series entitled Control Freak. It was all about how hard many of us, including myself, try to manipulate and control the circumstances around us. Everything from our jobs to our kids, our family, our image, our reputation, our destiny. We try to manipulate everything. The fact of the matter is we can control very few things. Most things are actually way beyond our control. Some of the greatest peace I've enjoyed the older I've gotten in my life is when I finally released many of those things that are out of my control to a creator who can control them. It finally gets you to a place where you can just relax, enjoy life more, and work on doing the few small things you can do about the few things you can control. Everybody gets to choose. I hope you enjoyed our trip today to beautiful Murray Lake, just south of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And we also showed you a fish or two from Arbuckle Lake, which is located just north of Ardmore near the town of Davis. I hope you'll use some of the tips, methods, techniques, and gear that we showed you on this week's show that may help you catch the biggest bass you've ever caught in your entire life. I think all of these things will most certainly increase your odds. Don't forget to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on Thursday in our normal time slot at 6 p.m. with the repeat airing Sunday morning at 8:30. And you can always catch our latest episode on the front page of our website, foxsportsoutdoors.com. And you can also see all of our past episodes and some product videos and how-to videos, everything you won't see on the TV show. Right on that front page, click on the past episodes and more video here link, and it'll get you right there. Also, don't forget to join us on Twitter. Follow our feed to win some great prizes and see all the most recent fish pictures and videos. And you can also click the like button on our Facebook page. You'll get all that same information. From Lake Murray, Oklahoma, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.